Ladies and gentlemen, from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice, Deacon Gerald Celente.
Hello, everyone. This is Deacon Gerald Celente from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. 3 words that have been eliminated by the politicians in a country near you. There's no freedom of speech. You only have to say what the government tells you to say. There's no peace. There's only war. War is the only solution. They have this thing in America on the back of all the currency. In God we trust. What God you talking about? Justice? No. No, just us are the ones that suffer for the government actions. What's going on in Israel and the slaughter of Palestinian people in front of everybody's eyes. And where is the outrage? In the government. None. None. All they're doing, pushing through another bill to send $95 billion. That's right. $95 billion to keep bloodying the killing fields of Ukraine and Gaza. Isn't that nice? Stealing the taxpayers' money to give to the military-industrial complex, to give to the murderers of war, to keep killing people. And while I'm the deacon of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice, a decade ago, I launched Occupy Peace. So when I come out against Israel's genocide in front of everybody's eyes, do not call me anti-Jewish, little boy or little girl. I'm not anti-American because I hate America's wars. Murdering millions in Iraq and Afghanistan, costing the people trillions of dollars. Doesn't make me anti-American. It makes me pro-American. Because I believe in the founding fathers, no foreign entanglements. What's going on in front of everybody's eyes for all to see is genocide being committed by Israel. It's a Holocaust against the Palestinians. That's right. Oh, no, they said it was a Holocaust when Hamas launched that attack that killed about 1,120 Israelis. They call that was the worst since the Holocaust. And by the way, during World War II, it wasn't only the Jewish people that got annihilated. Only about 25 million Russians. Oh, the gypsies, they had a nice time. A lot of people were slaughtered. But all we're hearing about is that Israel has, quote, the right to defend itself. No one else does. Only Israel. You know why? Because they say they're the chosen people. Which I would say, don't you tell me that. How about I don't believe in your God? And I don't believe in the stuff that you made up. And I don't believe a little boy who's the prime minister of Israel that said God gave you this land as you're stealing it from the Palestinians in the name of settlements. God did not give you this land. Go back to the Balfour Declaration, 1917. His Majesty's government, a murderous crew in Great Britain, declares that the Jewish people could settle in Palestine, and His Majesty's government, where the sun never sets on the British Empire as they slaughter people all over the planet, will use their best efforts to achieve these objectives. That's right. God didn't give you this land, and then the United Nations gave it to you. Oh, the United Nothings. If there was United Nations, there wouldn't be this slaughter going on, and it's only getting worse. But that's not important because the Super Bowl and Taylor Swift, that's the most important thing in America. New York Times, Netanyahu tells military to plan clearing of city. Isn't that nice language? Netanyahu tells military to plan clearing a city. How about Putin says to the military to plan to clear Manhattan? Because that's what they're doing over there. That's right. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the Israeli military to draw up plans to evacuate Rafah, a Gaza city packed with more than 1 million people, in advance of a ground offensive. Many civilians in Rafah are sheltering in rickety tents made of plastic and wood. And there is nowhere left in Gaza to avoid Israeli shelling. If these were Jewish people in Gaza, and they said many civilians, and they're Jewish in Rafah, are sheltering in rickety tents made of plastic and wood, oh my God, how terrible this would be. But they're only Palestinians. They're not chosen for anything other than to be slaughtered. And again, with the exception of one or two of my Jewish friends, every one of them is against what Netanyahu is doing. Max Blumenthal, Jewish. Voice for Jewish Peace, against this. Norman Finkelstein, a scholar about Israel, totally opposed to what's going on, outraged. So don't take a position if you come out against this. That is the propaganda that the media that's owned by these people and the politicians that they get all their money from. Go to mintpress.com and you can see the millions and millions and millions that are given to the politicians by Jewish organizations to support them. On Friday, UNICEF warned against any escalation in Rafah. It said more than 600,000 children with their families have been displaced. 600,000. The president, the Red Crescent Society, which runs the hospital in the area, in recent weeks described it as being under complete siege with tanks positioned around it and nearly daily Israeli attacks. It said this week that more than 200 patients, staff members, and rescue workers were trapped inside the hospital. Netanyahu dismisses U.S. and UN pleas not to attack Rafah. Israel, this is from the Financial Times. Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu has ordered his country's military to draw up a combined plan to expand the Gaza offensive. More than 1 million people are sheltering in abject conditions in Rafah, south of Gaza. Any military operation in Rafah at this time, under these circumstances, with more than 1 million, probably like 1.5 million Palestinians who are seeking refuge without due consideration for their safety, would be a disaster. This is what this guy who's one of the spokespeople for America, John Kirby, said. Would be a disaster. Yet America refuses to call for a ceasefire, little boy Kirby. Hey, little boy Kirby, you're pushing through a couple of tens of billions of dollars more of weapons to keep slaughtering the Palestinians. What are you talking about? And the United Nations You have 1.4 million people. You have tens of kilometers of people living in streets in plastic makeshifts. And you try to figure out a military offensive in the middle of these completely exposed, vulnerable people is a recipe for disaster. Yeah, that's right. U.S. faltered with Israel in aid, says. Inadequate emphasis on Palestinian lives. Mr. Finer, not so fine, said, quote, "We have left a very damaging impression based on what has been wholly inadequate public accounting for how much the president, the administration, and the country value the lives of Palestinians." What a load of crap. No ceasefire. No ceasefire. No ceasefire. That is from America. Biden administration admits to missteps in handling Gaza genocide. This is antiwar.com. Yep. President Biden has shipped 25,000 tons of weapons to Israel. That's according to Euromed Human Rights Monitor. Missteps? What missteps? Why aren't you calling for a ceasefire? This is from the World Socialist website. Israel announces plan for ethnic cleansing of Rafah. Yep. Now let's go back. Let's go back to October after Hamas attacked Israel. Then when Israel launched the war against Gaza, they told people to get out of the north and go to the south. So they destroyed the north because that's where Hamas was hiding. Now they're all in the south, and now they have nowhere to go. And that guy, Philippe Lazzarini from the UN RWA said, "There is a sense of growing anxiety, growing panic in Rafah. People have no idea where to go." 86% of Gaza's population, 1.7 million out of 2.3 million people, are internally displaced. Yep. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, declared, quote, "Israeli defense forces are reportedly destroying all buildings within Gaza Strip that are within a kilometer of the Israel-Gaza fence." And he goes on. This is mass murder. Mass murder in front of everybody's eyes, and no outrage among the politicians who get paid off to do what they're told. Senator Lindsey Graham called this a religious war. Again, Isaac Herzog, the prime minister, said, God gave us this land. Why are we involved in religious war? Because this is Crusades 2000, a trend forecast that we wrote about in the Trends Journal back in 2006, when we said it was launched and it began with the Balfour Declaration. Unimaginable devastation seen inside Khan Younis, the southern Gaza city, once a safe haven for the displaced. This is from CNN. Scattered around a huge crater are the remnants of life that is gone. Random pieces of clothing and red makeup bag lie in the mud nearby. Yep. CNN was among a small group of reporters granted a military escort by the Israeli army to see the tunnels. As a condition of entering Gaza under IDF escort, news outlets must submit photos and raw video footage of the to the Israeli military for review prior to publication. So they only could show you what the Israeli government wants to show you. Yep. This woman writes, driving from the border fence to the heart of Khan Yunis, however you pronounce it, in a military vehicle offered a limited vantage point, but there didn't seem to be a single building that was untouched by the war. Many buildings have been completely destroyed and the rubble bulldozed away. The ones that are left standing appear damaged beyond any chance for repair. Some look like the ruins of medieval castles, lone walls with holes where windows used to be. And again, Netanyahu said this was going to be a safe zone. They're stealing this land. And the claim about the tunnels, CNN cannot verify them. They won't allow journalists to travel into Gaza independently. Yep. Deadly Israeli West Bank hospital raid may amount to a war crime, says UN experts. But that's okay. Israel could do anything they want. This is disgusting. And it's going to escalate into World War III. They're not going to stop. You're seeing it in front of everybody's eyes. And now the United States is ramping up its attacks. Bombs away over Syria and Iraq. All of this going on when less than half Americans are very satisfied with their own lives. This is a Gallup poll that came out on Tuesday. On Thursday. For just the third time in more than 2 decades, less than half of Americans say they are very satisfied with the way things are going. So 47% say it's terrible. They're not satisfied. The worst number was 46%. And that was during 2007 to 2009, at the worst time of the Great Recession. So here the people are having very difficult times living paycheck to paycheck, some 63%. But yet America is stealing all this money to give to Israel and Ukraine to keep bloodying the killing fields. This is not my country that's being run and ruined by these maniacal politicians. This has to stop. World War III's begun. If we don't stop it, it's over. It's going to be hell on earth. So do what you can to spread peace and support us, the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice. And to show you the way the media is, you go to Euronews, 3 or 5 kids killed and 13-something killed by Russia in Ukraine. Yeah, and then you look next to it, 28,000 Palestinians. Report 117 were just killed on Friday. The media only gives you one side. You look at other major media, not a word about what's going on in Israel. Go to Drudge Report, go to on and on. You got to hunt for the stories. This is terrible what's going on, and people aren't ready for it. And as I say, when all else fails, they take you to war. And we're seeing the economic failure coming in front of everybody's eyes. Thank you for tuning in. Amen and amen.